Ah, the good old days. We all have them, no matter what age we are now. And for Frank Vater of Berlin, the good old days refer to the time he worked for Kodak.
Yeah, he says he loved every day he walked into his office. But during the 22 years he worked for the company, he says he saw cracks form in the photography empire's foundation, eventually leading Kodak into Chapter 11. So he wrote a book about it.
Frank and Ellen Vater have settled nicely into retirement in their home near Assateague Island. Ellen is originally from Berlin. Frank is a transplant.
I was born and raised in Putnam County, New York, and that's about 50 miles north of New York City.
Frank met Ellen when he was stationed at the naval base in Chincoteague.
I wanted to sing. I was the happiest when I was singing in school.
And although he sang, even performing on WBOC radio, Frank also had an interest in photography.
I bought a pretty good camera and decided that I would try to become a photographer in the Navy, and I was lucky enough to do that. Aviation, I was a naval airman.
In fact, Frank went on to get a degree in photography at the Rochester Institute of Technology and eventually got a job with photography giant Kodak.
And my job was to go in and make sure everything was running right, especially the Kodak products and the techniques and how to use them.
A job he enjoyed.
I enjoyed every day. Every day I got up, I looked forward to getting out there and doing my job. I mean, it was just exciting. When I opened that door, I had no idea what I was going to run into, and that made it exciting.
And that's what Frank writes about in his book, Kodak, You Should Have Been There.
There's a lot of lessons in that book, and especially for young people. Young people today, first of all, aren't quite as excited about their careers. I was so excited when Kodak said they'd hire me. It was incredible. The loyalty was there between employer and employee. Nobody would dare say anything about Kodak that wasn't complimentary to me or where I could hear it. I stuck up for them, I fought for them.
A loyalty, Frank says, isn't seen much these days.
My sons will tell me that it just isn't the same with an employee and employer relationship. And I think that's a darn shame.
But Frank also writes about the judgment errors that he thinks caused the Kodak company to fail.
A man in Kodak in I believe it was 1974, invented the digital camera. It was a digital camera about the size of a bread box. They looked at that, scratched their head and said, it's too big and too expensive. They were right. But they never looked to see if it had a future.
And Frank says that wasn't the only technology that was passed up.
You've all heard about Polaroid too. Well, who do you think Dr. Land went to first? He went to Kodak first. Kodak said, who needs a picture right this minute? Well, they'll wait for a week to get their pictures.
It's stories like those that Frank says paints the big picture of how a worldwide successful company is not bulletproof. A cautionary tale he hopes can prevent history from repeating itself.
And Frank says feedback from Kodak co-workers has been good in the book, which I have right here. He even talks about an incident where he called a fellow salesman out for doing something he considered unethical. He says that salesman recently contacted him to thank him for steering him in the right direction.
How about that?
Yeah.
Not only a great backstory, but great influence too.
Yeah. If you would like to purchase a copy of Frank's book, go to our website, delmarvalife.com, and click on the show tab. Well, Frank, really enjoyed spending time with him, and he's truly a Delmarva treasure. And something you probably treasure, your wedding. If you're planning the wedding of your dreams, there are simple steps you can take to cut costs. Something as simple as selecting a certain day to get married can really add up. We'll learn what else.
Oh, but wait, don't think once the wedding's over, all the work's done. Find out what else you can do that can add, that you can turn into big savings. Delmarva Life, we'll be right back.